So there's a video that's circulating the internet and it's went viral. It's been shared about 760,000 times and has generated a great deal of debate, or rather a great deal of controversy. Something like 58,000 comments on the source that I've come across. That source is Bal Del Freaky. Whether that's a name, whether that's a website, I don't really know. I saw it shared on another group, and then I shared it on my timeline because um, I felt disturbed by what I'd seen, and I also thought it was a good vocal point for a wider issue, which is domestic violence, or generally violence against women. So basically, this is a very brief video. It's about 30 seconds long, and it's a wedding somewhere. Some people are saying it's Turkey. I don't want to say that it is or it isn't. I don't speak Turkish. It certainly looks like it's somewhere in the Middle East, but I can't say exactly where it is. But it's a wedding ceremony, and the bride and groom are standing there. They're cutting the cake, or rather, they're scooping bits off the cake. And the groom gives his bride a little piece of the cake. Okay. Then she goes to do likewise, but presumably for a little bit of light-hearted banter, whatever you want to call it, she kind of doesn't quite let him get it the first time. She's just playing around, very light-hearted. So this asshole decides to aggressively push down the spoon, and he must have hurt her arm in the process because you could see that she sort of grimaces, and then there's a look of fear on her face. I'll put a link to the video you can see for yourself. Now, this is very unsettling because that immediately raises alarm bells. If this guy has such a quick temper over such a trivial thing, and he's prepared to act that way in public on his wedding day of all days, then, and I'm not the first person to speculate this, what is he capable of behind closed doors? It's scary to think about. This poor lady is going to be stuck in a relationship with this pig, and it's awful. And unfortunately, this is the reality for many women around the world. And yes, some men as well. But I just find it abhorrent. I mean, if this guy is so weak, so thin skinned that he can't take a little bit of, I mean, any loving relationship, they would see that for what it is, a little bit of banter between husband and wife. If you look at the video, it was totally harmless, totally innocent. And this guy's response was he didn't see the funny side. Like I say, shoved the spoon down. I think he must have hurt her arm in the process. And her expression really said it all. She looked like she was in pain, but more to the point, she looked very unhappy. This is her wedding day. I could say a lot of things about situations around the world regarding violence against women. It's a huge problem. But suffice to say, I just hope this woman finds a way to get out of this. What I find shocking is, on the surface at least, nobody intervened. So whether they did and that bit was cut off, I don't know. Like I say, the video is brief, it's only about 30 seconds. I hope someone did. I hope the men there, manned up and stood up to this guy and didn't kind of let it pass because it was his wedding day. If anything, that should be even more of an alarm bell. If he's prepared to behave like this on his wedding day, I would not be at all surprised with some bullshit thing about male honor and she humiliated him, so she has shamed him. She's at fault because unfortunately those sort of attitudes are all too common in this world. Needless to say, the overwhelming majority of comments, well, pretty much all of them that I saw, were very critical of the guy, calling him all the names under the sun, and it's totally justified. The way this guy was behaving was really you know, really telling. I think men who bully women and who particularly show violence against women are the scum of the earth. I really do. Um, it's not that it's not that violent women are okay either, but the average man is physically stronger than the average woman. So really, men who brutalize women are the scum of the earth. And what I find very sad is that there are too many parts of the world, and I'm not going to, name specific countries because that would just be a distraction. But in too many parts of the world, it's accepted, particularly in a marriage situation, because it's seen as honor. Well, there's nothing honorable about bullying someone who's physically weaker than yourself. Doesn't mean she's a weak person, but this wasn't like this was quite a big guy, so I can imagine that's intimidating. I mean, what a scumbag! What an absolute scumbag! It's not about bravado, I really do feel that way. I think it's guys like this need to be frankly beaten up. Um, I'm not saying we should go out and commit vigilantism, but what? How can her male relatives watch that and be okay with it? And that's the thing. Maybe they are. Maybe it's all part of the oh well, she dishonored him by her little joke, and it was totally any sane, civilized human being would see it for what it was, a little bit friendly. It's meant to be the wedding day for goodness sake. If the bride can't do a little bit of fun, like I can't even get my mind around it. Anyway, I'll put a link to the video. I'll warn you, if you're a reasonable person, you will be pissed off because I was. I hope the fact this is getting so much attention brings attention to this particular relationship, and the guy gets exposed, because the sad reality is the woman could end up dead. Guys like this, it's not a case of they lose their temper one off and then that's it. They're always like that. And he might apologize. I doubt he would in this case, but certainly in this country, what you get with violent men is they apologize, they say how terrible they feel, then it goes back to the beginning. Um, I think there's very little reforming of such people, and I just feel awful for women who are trapped in this sort of situation. When children are concerned, I think they have a responsibility to act in so far as getting help. But if there is no children, then they need to find a way to get out of it. But I am acutely aware in many parts of the world that is not simple, particularly in arranged marriages. And it's utterly tragic. Women in these situations are basically slaves in everything but name. And it is absolutely repulsive. I mean, what sort of man are you if you are putting your woman in a position of fear? If you are, the person that you're meant to, and I shouldn't say that, I shouldn't say his woman, she doesn't belong to him, but putting the woman in that position where she's in fear and she's, well, if you're a civilized person, there's no need to preach to the converted. I just think that guys like this, whatever country that is, I hope the authorities scrutinize them. Sadly, I don't think it'll happen because in too many parts of the world, there's a blasé attitude about this from the authorities and from wider society, and that is awful. It really is awful. So, few final words. I'm not a feminist, I'm an egalitarian. I've been very critical of some aspects of Western feminism, and I remain so. But this is a very clear example of why women's rights is still a very relevant issue, why it's still a huge problem. And as a man, as a human being, forget gender for a second, as a human being, it's just, it's tragic and it's infuriating. And I hope this guy gets his karma, I really do. Whether it be her leaving him, whether him getting frankly beaten up by her male relatives, whatever it would be. Because, like I say, this is alarm bells. If that's how he is going to behave in public, how is he going to behave in private? Incidentally, there's many other videos circulating that show so-called cultures where the groom slaps a woman on a wedding day. Now, I'm not going to point at fingers at any particular culture because I don't know, but these videos purport to show that. Well, they do show that. So I don't know which part of the world that is, but wherever it is a regressive culture and an example of why cultures are not equal. Cultures that treat men and women as equals are superior to cultures that treat women as inferior. Fact. Leave it there. Check out the video, and it's awful.